evening and welcome to the Bay St. Louis Planning and Zoning meeting of September 27th, 2022. We ask that you please silence all cell phones and electronics at this time. We're going to begin with a short prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Father in heaven, we invite you to preside over this meeting. Give us unity of spirit, even when our opinions differ. Help us to listen politely to other points of view and to remember that we are all a part of the same community. Direct our thoughts, words, decisions, and actions toward the right path in the best interest of our city. We ask this in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. Okay. First application tonight is GRAHAM-HERMAN. Application for variance to the zoning ordinance submitted by Alan Graham on behalf of Casey Herman. The applicant is requesting a variance of 3 feet resulting in a 5-foot setback to the right side yard. A variance of 5 feet resulting in a 7-foot 7-inch setback to the left a variance of 5 inches resulting in a 7-foot 7-inch setback to the left side yard, and a variance of 2 feet resulting in an 18-foot setback to the rear yard. The property is located at 1531 North Beach Boulevard, parcel 136H-2-37-004.001, Part 2B, Rear First Ward, Bay St. Louis. The property is zoned R1 Single Family District. Is there a representative here to speak tonight? It's you. State your name and address for us and tell us just a little bit about the application.
Alan Graham. What address you want?
Just explain a little bit why you're asking for the variance and what's going to be going on with the project.
It's an addition to the house, adding 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms to the rear of the house.
It looks like the variance is being asked for to keep it in line with what the house setback currently is. Any comments or questions from the commissioners? Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak for or against this application? If there's no other comments or questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion we accept the application.
Motion by Mr. Breland, second by Mr. Romano. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Please be present at the next City Council meeting, which is Tuesday, October 4th, 5:30 p.m. in this room.
Thank you.
Next application is, I have the agenda out of order. Yes. Announce that 609. Okay, in case anybody's here for 609 Central LLC, the RV park, that application has been withdrawn for tonight. They did not say that they were coming back next month, but they might. There will be a new notice if it does appear on the agenda next month or the month after. Okay, next application is REISCH. Application for an amendment to the official zoning map submitted by Jeffrey and Tensi REISCH. The applicant is requesting to change parcel 138C-07-100.000 from R1A Single Family District to R3 Multifamily District. The property is located at 4050-4056 9th Street, parcel 138C-0-47-100.000, 20 through 22nd block, 10A Shoreline Park, Unit 2. The property is zoned R1A Single Family District. Yes, sir. Can you state your name and address for the minutes for me?
It's 4050 to 4056 9th. And you pretty much said it all. We just want to change it from R1A to R3, and the building is existing right now. And we do have tenants that have been renting for quite some time now. The problem with it is if it's damaged over 50%, then with this R1A, we cannot rebuild. So we want to be able to rebuild if it's damaged over 50%.
problem I'm seeing is everything surrounding it is R1A, so it's a bit of a spot zoning. It is a textbook spot zoning issue because nothing around it is multifamily. So you're kind of giving carte blanche to any future owner of the land to build multifamily housing, even if it's not you, even if it's not
Wouldn't
the
that
same
help the
structure.
county if you were to do that, where you could generate more revenue and taxes? Now, why?
Why can't it be R3?
Why would it not help the county if you did
Well, the
that?
structure's already existing, but
I'm talking about
be detrimental to property
yes.
values around it.
You think
If
would-
it were, if someone who wasn't you came in and built something else that's allowed in R3.
What about a special exception, if we could just get a letter of permission to rebuild, just for that
Is-
same structure?
Is the structure 50% damaged right now? I guess I'm not understanding what the need is if
That's why I'm asking Jeremy for,
some
So
clarification.
this was the conversation with property. If they ever want to sell it, they sell the property. One of the issues is we have banks involved, being able to replace the structure. So currently, let's say it got burnt down 50% damaged. Bay St. Louis would not let them go back. Whoever the owner of the property is to go back and build what it was. The issue was, I think, 2009. It was granted that this structure would be allowed to be built, and this was before even zoning ordinance that we were using. Because it's R1A now, it's not even allowed for special exception to be built a duplex or much less a fourplex. So the discussion was had in the zoning department of what to do. I'm like, the issue is it would either be a text amendment, which would allow every R1A parcel to be allowed to be, if you amended the text on the ordinance, it would mean everybody would be allowed to have that for special exception, which obviously that would not apply. I said, I think the discussion was, I said, I believe it's probably spot zoning, but I'm not the legal counsel. That would be left up to probably Ms. Smith to decide if it's defensible. I don't think she is, but as you say, that's what they asked for because the only thing that touches this is R1A. There's not even something else. So that's what the issue at hand was if anybody wants to sell it, most likely a bank is not going to lend on it because it's not insurable to be able to build back what it is.
Any other comments or questions from the commissioner?
Is that property in place before Bay St. Louis annexed it in Ward 6? Is that property there, or did you build it
What
after?
year? I believe it was in place.
It was after Katrina?
I think from the records that we looked at, I think it was 2009, and there was different. It wasn't called R1A; it was called something else back then. 2009, whoever the developer was got permission, and it was to be allowed that. I think probably my just assumption at that time that looking at what was going through planning and zoning, they were looking for construction back there, regardless of the means. And I think from the stuff that was allowed where they can that to the annex, a lot of times that some of the stuff that's back there is probably not in compliance with their zoning now, but it was constructed when it was Bay St. Louis, but I think it was 2009 when the variance was given, the exception was given for them to even allow it. I don't know if the zoning said that maybe they were allowed to ask for exception back then, but currently our zoning doesn't allow that.
It seems like we'd be opening a can of worms if we allowed this to happen with this property. I'm sure others would come back and ask for the same thing. I'm not sure it's a good idea.
we have shot down, we didn't pass the spot zoning in the other places too. That's the only thing I was concerned about was the spot zoning.
Now, this spot zoning, did you shoot it down before it was built, as it was just a lot,
With,
or was it already built
no,
and occupied?
can't remember. I know one was a couple months back, and it was just going to be one section with spot zoning, and we just said either the whole area needed to be, and I didn't vote on it.
Originally, he bought the whole block, and he had, I think, 4 replexes in the plans, and he only built one. He couldn't. Something happened, at financing fell through or whatever. So he only built one, and we ended up buying it and finishing it.
Building department that would then in turn our 50% rule that we wouldn't be allowed to legally do that, because especially stuff in the floodplain area, then you would have to comply with the base flood elevation, and that affects everybody. The low base flood elevation, that's replication for the entire city, not just this property. But our rule, but even so much so, the 50% rule would kick in, and building department's hands are tied at that point. I'm zoning department. I'm just letting you know, probably from conversation through the room, that it has affected many projects similar to this, the floodplain especially.
We had the property 3 days from closing on it, and they found that, and the deal was.
No, I sympathize 100% with that, but you just have to understand where we're coming from, because you're setting a citywide precedent, much less giving carte blanche for a lot more that's allowed in R3 and R1 that your neighbors probably wouldn't find desirable. Not saying you would do it, it would be somebody else, maybe whoever you sold it to. So we have to take that into consideration. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against the application? Any other comments or questions from the commissioners? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move that we deny the application.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Agee to deny, second by Mr. Weber. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Application is denied. Please be present at the next city council meeting, Tuesday, October 4th, 5:30 p.m. in this room. They'll have the final say.
So, with the final say, what is it going to change?
You're just a recommending board,
Okay.
so you'll vote on this.
So if y'all approve it, then if y'all were to approve it, then it would be given. But
No, they would still,
it's still okay.
yes.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Nothing about throwing you under the bus. Okay. Next application is HALCOMB, application for special exception to the zoning ordinance submitted by Eddie Holcomb. The applicant is requesting a special exception to allow them to conduct a recreational vehicle park business. The property is located at 2178 Longfellow Drive, parcel 137E-0-26-019.000, Part J, Boutique Claim, Section 26-8-14. The property is zoned C3 Highway Commercial District.
This is Eddie Halcomb, 125 Reedford Drive. What we're looking at is, we have 3.5 acres. We're only looking at a maximum of 25 spots. Probably will only do 10. What we're hoping for is snowbirds. We want them to come down, spend the winter, and leave. Only want to do monthly, no overnights, just monthly rentals. And hopefully get people to come and stay for a few months and go away. The lot, or the property has city water, sewer, power already there. The sites, I had drawings of what we plan to do. Those sites were marked out as 50 by 100. The requirement's only 15 by 50. And there's quite a bit of room between all of it. It's trying to get low density, just a nice place for people to come and stay a while. Say I have no interest in overnights. I want to deal with the people. Some are retired and want to basically have people come and give me money for a month and they don't need money.
question is, I see a sketch, this is phase 1 and phase 2. What's driving the location of all the RV sites, or the number, the amount?
The amount was, I just don't want it to be too dense. It could be, it's 3.5 acres at only 15 feet between sites could be very dense, and that's not what we're looking for. The last 20 years I've worked for the Forest Service putting in campgrounds and repairing and maintaining campgrounds. And people don't want to be on top. If you want them to stay and have a good experience, give them lots of room and a little bit of privacy. There's trees already on the location, so I'm trying to get some trees in between and some space.
I don't even have any driveways, entrances, or exits drawn on here.
They're on the map. I've got a Google map. I know that's how it's. I have a large.
I've received several letters on this. I'm going to read some of these into the record, and then I have a list of people who have signed up to speak. Commissioners, in response to the public hearing notice for the special exception application submitted by Eddie Holcomb, we strongly oppose his application to conduct a recreational vehicle park business. The property is located at 2178 Longfellow Drive, parcel 137E-0-26-019.000, and borders the properties of our two houses. The property owner provided the city a current survey with only colored pencil marks drawn in to show where the RVs will be located. There are no architectural plans provided with this application to indicate his plans for the development and his ability to meet the zoning requirements of Section 1008 of the BSL Zoning Ordinance Code as recapped below. Section 1008 of the BSL Zoning Ordinance, a hard surface or gravel vehicle parking pad of 12 feet by 30 feet shall be provided for each RV site, a minimum of 1.5 parking spaces, a 12-foot wide traveled path from the road to the pad, and parking. The RV park site shall be screened with a 6-foot screen from all other adjoining uses on site. Hedge and landscaping shall be added along any portion of the site facing the street. Common toilets and showers are to be provided. Electrical, water, and sewer utilities are to be provided. In his application, there is no indication of common bathroom facilities, a clubhouse, or any basic amenities like electricity, water, and sewer hookups. There is no indication of landscaping and fencing to produce a harmonious relationship of buildings and grounds to adjacent properties. To be granted a special exception, the Commissioners and City Council must find that it will not adversely affect the public interest. There are at least 3 provisions of Section 1305-2-B, special exceptions of the zoning code that do not meet these standards and adversely affect the public interest of the surrounding property owners. Number 2, a recreational vehicle park will cause a total visual impression and environment which will not be consistent with the current environment of the neighborhood. There are 6 residential homes and numerous duplexes surrounding the proposed property. The RV park will not be harmonious to our neighborhood. The city recently passed a new ordinance to prevent individuals from parking trailers, RVs, boats, etc. on their property to enhance the visual appearance. Therefore, we are not in favor of viewing parked RVs. Number 3, the proposed use will be detrimental to the use of the adjacent property owners as it will adversely affect their quality of life and devalue their current property values. Number 6, the proposed use will be a nuisance to surrounding properties due to the number of RVs using the proposed park 24 hours a day, thereby causing an increase in vehicular traffic on Longfellow Drive and creating excessive noise. We ask that the zoning commissioners and city council deny the proposed application for Mr. Holcomb for an RV park because it does not meet the standard for granting a special exception. Attached to our letter, you will find a petition with the signatures of our concerned property owners who also request that this application be denied. Thank you for your consideration. Paul Corey Bourgeois, owner of 2152 Longfellow Drive. Angelina Bourgeois, owner of 2162 Longfellow Drive. And we have attached petitions, I would say, with about 30 plus names on 2 pages with that accompanying that letter. Dear Bay St. Louis Planning and Zoning Commission, our names are Nancy and Frank Christopher, and we are the property owners of 2156 Longfellow Road. I am writing to this to communicate how strongly we oppose the granting of special exception to the zoning ordinance for the property of 2178 Longfellow Road. This property is within 300 feet of several other homes that house families. We have children, grandchildren, and pets that we are comfortable allowing to play in our front yards because we know our neighbors. We will no longer have that quality of life if a park is allowed that brings people without ties to the neighborhood so close to our homes. We also constantly hear almost wrecks happening due to people trying to pull out of their residences while vehicles are flying down the streets. This road is only one lane both ways, and an RV park will check in and check out times will clearly create traffic congestion and hazardous traveling conditions on Longfellow. We have already noticed trash building up in that ditch that separates our property. We cannot physically get down to it to pick it up ourselves. We believe strongly more trash will find its way into the ditch, creating drainage issues if an RV park is permitted. We are concerned of the park creating noise issues where now it is quiet and peaceful area. We have spoken to several realtors, and they have unanimously advised me that our property value will greatly decrease with the addition of an RV park so close to our home. For those reasons and more, we believe an RV park so close to our home will have a negative impact on our lifestyle, and we implore you, do not grant this special exception to the zoning that is in place. Sincerely, Nancy Christopher and Frank Christopher. There's another attached petition with about another 20 or so names to that. And, sorry, one more letter. After looking over the submitted proposal for an RV development site on Longfellow Road, I, as a neighborhood property owner, have concerns that it may negatively affect property values for residential properties in the immediate area. The proposed development is in close proximity to several residential parcels. If not held to a certain standard with regard to construction, maintenance, and operations, such a development could, over time, become a detriment to the neighborhood. Among the issues I think should be examined closely by officials include the impact of increased traffic, oversight by city zoning and code officials, facilities such as registration office, bathhouse, and other necessary buildings which may or may not be in the plans, quality of road construction, asphalt versus concrete within the park, whether parking paths will be required. I support development and progress in Bay St. Louis, but I implore officials to preserve the integrity and quality of our residential neighborhoods as you consider such proposals as this RV development. I respectfully request the board to deny the application as submitted. Charlene Adam, 500A Sunset Drive. Mr. Holcomb, I have a list of people signed up to speak, and then you'll have opportunities. I'm sure questions will come out and things that you'd like to answer at the end.
Can I answer a few of those?
Sure, go ahead.
One, it's heavily wooded on four sides of the property. I can see one house on that property when I'm on it. So they wouldn't be able to see the RVs in the first place. There is a gravel driveway, it circles around, it's already existing, and it will be upgraded once we do that. The power, each site will have power. I'll get with the building department to see what their requirements are, and the power company that we have to approve. We do not have to have bathhouses or any other structures. Every RV will have to have its own sewage containers, their own bathrooms. There's no requirement to have bathrooms or a shelter house or anything else. And it's very low density, a lot less than it would be if the businesses which have a lot to do. That would be a lot more dense, a lot more traffic. So none of the neighbors, I think one neighbor can see this property. There's a hedgerow across the front on Longfellow. There's a ditch, and there's on our side of the property there's 25 feet of the woods, and the ditch is the property. So if the neighbors, they'd have to cross the ditch to bother the neighbors. Not the neighborhood. There's one house on the other side, and it's also heavily wooded between those houses. There's a small section that doesn't have any trees. We're not planning to put anything there.
I do have a list of names signed up to speak, so just a reminder, if you can be respectful of everyone's time that's here, you can say ditto, you can come up and just sum up if you wrote a letter previously. I'm going to go ahead and start with Kathleen and Joe Monty, 105 Sycamore Street.
Hi, good evening. Most of what the objections were listed by the surrounding property owners. We are in support of their objections, and I won't repeat them. But a couple of other things that I guess I would be concerned with would be, you mentioned that these are going to be long-term, and rather than overnight, you're not interested in it. So I'm not familiar enough with RV parks and how these things work. I never want one and never want to be in one, frankly. But if you're parking something there, which according to the ordinance is up to 180 days, they're allowed to be parked there, correct? By the ordinance, if it's so. Where exactly do they go to dump the sewage? Even if it's self-contained, are you going to be having dump stations on site? And if so, can the present city services handle that additional usage, or will a lift station be needed? I don't think the neighbors want to experience any noxious sewage fumes from malfunctioning sewage hookups in the individual pads. If that should happen, I don't know. Dump sites or lift stations outside their houses, which would be detrimental to their enjoyment of the outside of their properties. Also, a question I would be wondering about would there be a park manager on duty on site 24/7 to handle any problems that might arise with the tenants, whether they end up being short-term or long-term. And that's basically some of the questions that I still had that I think would be of great concern to surrounding neighbors as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
We ask you to deny.
Ms. Bourgeois, I know I'm mispronouncing your first name.
Hi, I'm Angelia Bourgeois, and I own the property at 2162 Longfellow, which faces Longfellow. I want to reiterate my opposition to the letter that you just read. I do want to make a few comments. The property owner stated that only one person would be able to see this RV park. I invite him to come over and view out of my window that we can also see the trailers. We have three two-story homes, tall, and we can very well see. Also, in the wintertime, he did mention that there is bushes, and there are, of course, in the summertime there is, but in the winter months everything dies, and it's 100% visible. I have owned that property since 2008, and I have looked at that property across the ditch for a very long time. So, very confident that I would be able to see those trailers. I am not positive that you guys have already passed that ordinance on the trailers, boats, RVs that can be parked in your yard. And if you have, then you can relate to me not wanting to see that all day, every day. I also 100% agree with everything that Ms. Fonte just said. I had forgotten about the sewage part of it. That's very important. And also, my concern is that he has no amenities. Why would people want to come and be at this RV park with no amenities? It's just my personal opinion that I think it might turn into a trailer park over time, because there's nothing being offered to people to be there. And what will he do for income? That big plan that he has doesn't work out. What happens next to the property? And I personally do not want a trailer park next to me here in Central, being honest.
Thank you, Ms. Bourgeois. I have Paul Burris.
I also agree with Ms. Martinez.
Jerry Seeger. I live at 2198 Longfellow Drive. I've owned that property since the 1950s, and I have 10 acres there with a 3,000 square foot home, and I totally oppose the ordinance. I have young children and young grandchildren, and I have 4 dogs. I'm just totally against it.
What's to say that people don't do anything or anything? Snowbirds, they're not gonna come to something like that in a residential area. I wouldn't. And I don't wanna, he says it's got a fence, I'm sorry, a row of trees, we still could see it from our house, from anywhere we are at. And I don't want my kids around that. I don't know how many people are gonna run in. Would you want your daughters or granddaughter to play out in the yard with people around that you don't know? It could be dangerous. Not good for the neighborhood. We just ask that you deny it.
Mike Penashero.
My name is Mike Penashera. I live on 10,001 Penashera Lane. I'm the one that across the ditch he's talking about. But I think they said just about everything. I agree with everything you say. Mainly, we got so much traffic. I call look at my people walking up and down the road. You can't believe I'm on a dead end on that road down in the city there. But we got some strange characters walking around all time of night, day, right there. So that's what I'm worried about. Like my grandkids. Some evil kind of thing. I just think we belong to the area.
Thank you, Mr. Penashero. Ms. Nancy Christopher, 2156 Longfellow Road.
Hi, thank you for letting me speak. I do hear when the gentleman does cut his grass. And so I don't know why I wouldn't hear when people play their music. My husband and I both, and my daughter, but we all work. We go to bed at 9, and we need to make sure we are able to get up in the morning. And I really, really am happy at my house. I love living here. I go out my side door and sit in the morning and have a cup of coffee where my dogs walk around, and I look at those trees and I look at that ditch, and it's peaceful for me. And I don't believe it would continue to be that way. So I do agree with everything. I didn't even think of half of the things the other people said. I just do feel it would definitely take away our quality of life that we really do appreciate. Thank you.
Garrett Garcia.
Garrett Garcia. The property we own, there's 8 duplexes that are across the street, covering the block from 10th Street all the way to Longfellow. I have several things to ask. As far as I know, there was a residential house on this property for years. Seegers can answer that question. How did it ever go from R1 to R3? If there's been a residential house for 40 years, the Lamb Zone, how can that not be R1? So we talked about spot zoning earlier. This is key on and needs to be shot down. But there's so many things as far as the drawing that you see that I got from Mr. Burke, the drawing that shows the lots. I mean, you say in 50 by 100, you can add them up. The property's only so wide, it's not going to fit. He said there's trees on the property line. All the pads are on the property line. So where are the trees going? The trees are going to be taken away. I mean, I'm sorry to say, but it looks like a kid drew it. I mean, anything, if you read an ordinance, you need engineering. See, engineering, FEMA needs to get involved because all electricals needs to be elevated. Bathhouses need to be elevated. I mean, there's a lot of infrastructure and money that needs to go involved in this project. But as far as an RV park in this area, we all know what this is going to turn into. It's definitely going to hurt us, I can tell you. We're invested with a lot of money on that whole corner directly across the street, building what we were supposed to with the proper population density. But we're highly advised, Garrett Garcia, to object it, please.
Thank you. And Mr. Bill Adam.
Property owner, 2193 Longfellow. Most of the statements here I agree with tonight. This is a very flawed plan that this gentleman has proposed. Now, I'm all for development. I believe that a beautiful RV park is needed in Bay St. Louis. This is not the right location, but I think we have two councilmen in chambers tonight that need to look at what the codes and ordinances say about RVs, RV parks, because it's pretty vague. No hard surface roads, no pads are required, no bathhouses, no management facilities. So what I'm saying is to put in a nice RV park in the city is about $1.5 million minimum. So, I think some of our city officials need to look at this, try to readdress it, because we do need a first class, but this is not it. This will eventually turn into a monthly type facility with very little coming and going. And I believe that I'm a little bit familiar because I have been active in negotiations with another municipality about an RV park in another state. The requirements are enormous. Our codes hardly even touch on it. So I believe, speaking to Mr. Seal, other council, I think Josh, they need to look at this a little bit so we can develop some type of a nice RV facility for visitors, and that require bathhouses, pool amenities, and so forth. So this is not the proposal that I think should be looked at for an RV park. That's my statement. Thank you.
Yes. Mr. Radley.
Cliff Rabelais, 702 3rd Street. I didn't come to speak on this one this evening, but some of the comments have come up. I am quite familiar with RV parks. I lived in one in my younger days. And what Mr. Adams had to say is absolutely on target. Bay St. Louis, our industry in this city is what? Tourism. You go to Mobile, Alabama, and you see the RV parks over there, we are missing the boat by not having an RV park. But I cannot over-agree with Mr. Adams. What's being proposed is not the RV park you want. Most RV parks in the nicer areas require you to send a picture in before they will accept your reservation. They will not accept an RV that's over 6 years old without a lot of extra stuff. To not have sewer hookups is insane. Now, is there a need or a market for it? Absolutely. Buccaneer State Park, you got to reserve things a year in advance. There are a few decent RV parks in the area, but not really nice ones in the city. What's being proposed is not what we want in Bay St. Louis. I'm not opposed to having an RV park, but it's like owning rental property. You never want to own the least expensive rental property in town. I'm not going to expand on that. You understand what I'm saying? We want an RV park in the right location that has the right kind of pull. My neighbor recently came back. He stayed in his little RV trailer in Florida Keys. He was paying $200 a night for an RV park. $200 a night. You know, those of us that have VRBOs get a little bit more than that, but you know that's. But they stay there. They have bathhouses. They have swimming pools. They have all the amenities that Mr. Adams talked about. So while I think we do need to encourage or at some point have an RV park because we are missing the boat for tourism, which is our industry, we need it to be the high end. And I couldn't support this. You know, I didn't come for this, and I have to verbally express that I would not support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Radley. Mr. Holcomb, would you like to come up and address some of these concerns?
First, all the sites will have sewer hookups. That's given. We will do concrete pads for every site. There is no requirement for bathhouses. We are going to try to get people with $100,000 RVs to come in and stay for it. We already have rules on how long they can stay. It will not become a trailer park. It's not our intent, and you already have the rules in place to stop that from happening. If we need to put up fences, it's already in the code that anywhere where people can see it needs a fence. There will be a fence. There's like you said, the property across the street is more dense than this, the duplexes. There's more dense. There's an apartment, a block away, apartment building. And also, one of the neighbors said that they don't want it. They sold the property to guys who's building a multi-unit storage facility building that everybody can see in the neighborhood. RV storage. It's already dense, and it can be mechanic shops. I could put 10 buildings on that property right by use. This is the least dense thing I could do with this property.
Any other comments or questions from the commissioners? I'll entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Osborne to deny, second by Mr. Romano. All those in favor? Aye. Application fails. Please be present at the next City Council meeting, Tuesday, October 4th, 5:30 p.m. Let me give everyone a chance to clear out before we do this next application. Okay, next application is KOSAK, application for variance to the zoning ordinance submitted by Janice KOSAK. The applicant is wanting to construct a single-family dwelling and is requesting a variance of 5 feet, resulting in a 5-foot setback to the front yard. The applicant is also requesting a variance of 0.2 feet, resulting in a 19.8-foot setback to the rear yard. The property is located at 400 John Baptiste Street, parcel 137J-0-44. 346.000, 31 Shieldsboro, Phase 1. The property is zoned R2, 2-family district.
Good evening. My name is Janice KOSAK, and the property is at 400 John Baptiste in Bay St. Louis. I bought this lot a couple of years ago and planned on building my retirement home. It's a one-story, 1,385 square foot home, and 3-bedroom, but one of the bedrooms is really just an office, a very small, 7 foot by 9 foot. So that one room doesn't even make a full bedroom. 2-car garage. The front of the house is on John Baptiste and does require a 5-foot variance. The back of the house does need 0.02 to get the 20-foot because the driveway missed it on the back of the home. I am on a corner lot. I'm not in the middle of a neighborhood, and I have filed for what was told to me on how to file for approvals. I went through the architectural committee through Shieldsboro subdivision. The questions were asked, the plans were reviewed, and when I received the approvals, that was then reviewed with the city of Bay St. Louis, and it was approved. These plans were reviewed by several. It was reviewed by Whitney Ladner, I believe. Kenny Warreno will be speaking with that because he did it for me. And it was also reviewed by Jeremy. Jeremy Bird. And Jeremy was the one who said, "You're approved. Come get your permit." So we went and got the permit. We started the work. The contractor did all of the electrical, the plumbing. We have the gas. It's all laid out. We were ready to pour concrete in the next day, and I was supposed to close on my construction loan 2 days after the stop work happened. With that, it has since caused me a hardship because I could not close on the construction loan because, of course, I'd have to pay thousands of dollars for that. And with that, I had to pay the contractor now who has billed me for all of his work, and I've had to pay that cash out of my hand. I then was fixing to lose my loan, the rate, and the rates are going up, so that is going to cost me additional funds. I am a single mother, grandmother, taking care of my kids and my family on my own. And what I work for very hard. And I feel that I have done everything appropriately to get my home constructed. And the permit was approved by the city of St. Louis. I do realize that we have several oppositions, and these individuals are stating that they feel that this neighborhood should abide by all of the covenants. And I agree. I've sat back over the past 2 years and watched homes go up and said, how is that happening? How is that happening? So where is the meetings? I live in the neighborhood. I've been invited to one meeting to come here. All of the variances have been approved through the architectural committee and then given to the city to approve the plan. And they received their variances. You go up and down my street. One of the oppositions is that they want to make sure it's a straight line going down the street. You go down my street on John Baptiste or any other street, it's already zigzag. You'll see 2-foot variances, 3-foot variances. Mine's a corner lot. I'm not going down the center of the road. I've checked for obstructions for Jeremy, and I went and I looked. And I said, I'm not obstructing anyone's view. I do not obstruct the corners. I have a 30-foot not setback, but 30 foot from the corner of the home to the corner where the stop sign is. 30 feet. Any cars can see. I do not block anybody. Another opposition was that, this is not falling in the ordinance. Again, we have another home that goes against our covenants. Page 24, section 13.02. So the pool was built in the front yard. Still to this day does not have a 6-foot fence according to the covenants. No one said anything. They come after me for a little 5-foot variance from .2 on the back. Nobody has said anything. And I have done the approvals as I was told to do. Another opposition, reference page 23, section 12.13. You're supposed to have any trailers, boats, they must be in an enclosed area, a garage. They do not have it in an enclosed garage. These people who are speaking out against me, my neighbors, which I do not hold any grudges against, I understand, but they themselves do not follow the ordinance, covenants. So I'm asking to be approved. Since I was already approved, I followed the instructions that were given to me, my plans and my home, and stopped construction. And now this is going to cause me additional work because we've already had rain, we've had the elements, and the property's going to have to be worked on again, which is again costing me additional funds that I know I'm going to have it cleaned up. I was then told that someone had called in and said that my contractor did not build in accordance with my plans. Again, I'm a single woman. I take care of my business. I've been in engineering and construction for over 35 years. This is my business. This is what I do. And I have been going to that property when the construction started, and I watched. Tape measure is still in my car, and I watched it every day. I contacted the contractor every day. He did not divert from those plans. It was a lie, an outright lie. And that's how that stop work started. The city was lied to, and I really didn't appreciate that. I'm there. I've asked my neighbors to come talk to me if they have any opposition. Let's openly talk about it. And because they're not abiding by the covenants, but yet going against others. So you drive down my neighborhood, you will see some houses are further out than others. Mine is a corner lot. I'm asking for this 5-foot variance in the .2 in the back of my home. I appreciate your consideration. Oh, yes, and I'm sorry. Thank you for reminding me. So, and I did, Jeremy said that maybe I should go talk to neighbors, and I did. I wanted them to know what I was doing and wanted to know how they felt about it. I did openly discuss it and tell them what I was doing, and I have several neighbors. First I walked around, goes right around my home. Of course, I didn't go to the ones that I knew were opposing, because they were opposing. Can I give this to you? This will be...
Yeah, we'll put that into the minutes.
So those are all the neighbors who said that they are okay with me continuing the building. And I did not walk the whole neighborhood. I just did.
KOSAK, first, you understand the level of stress. I can't even imagine. I'm in the industry too. I understand. We go through this all the time. I just am wondering, since I first saw this application, where along the way did it even get drawn as 5 feet? Like where? Because I'm looking at all the Shieldsboro requirements provided, I guess from their architectural board for the setbacks and things. Where did it get confused along? Like who told the draftsman 5 feet is what we want, I guess, or is the requirement?
When it was being drafted, the designer did tell me, look, you're going further out. I said, well, I do need this for the home. I said, and it is my understanding that I can ask for a variance. I said, and if I don't get approved for that variance, then I'll come back to you and have you redraft. I said, but I do need it, and I'm asking for 5 foot of my property. I said, you have the government, the city's property, which is the 10 foot, and then my property, which is the covenants of 10 foot. I said, I'm going to ask for it. There's nothing wrong with asking. I said, and I can always come back to you and have you redesign it. I said, and I'm not even sure how I would do that because I'm hardly fitting the 3 bedrooms I have now. One of the bedrooms I had to break it down to 7 foot by 9 foot. I mean, I really need a 3-bedroom home. I have 4 children, and I have a grandchild, another one soon to come. And I said, I have to have a 3-bedroom. And I said, and I have to have a 2-car garage. I have 2 cars. I said, and I need to be able to, I was trying to cover most of the covenants, which also in the driveways of the covenants, it does state that you have to be able to fit, you have to have the minimum 2-car garage, or be able to fit the 2 cars, and then be able to fit the visitors, to be able to fit when you're driving.
So you addressed the 5 foot front setback with the they said that that was okay.
They approved it, yes.
I have a list of people signed up to speak. Mike and Tony Turnicon. Sorry. What's your names tonight?
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak tonight. I'm at 501 John Baptiste in Shieldsboro. We purchased our property 2.5 years ago in that subdivision, and primarily for the reason that we like the fact that they have covenants and restrictions that keep the neighborhood up. Supposedly all the neighbors are supposed to follow. In fact, we had to redraw our plans 3 times in order to make sure our house fit on our piece of property, which is also a corner lot. As far as the boats and things that are out that are not in garages, I do agree that those should be behind. That is part of the covenants, that those are supposed to be done. But also that once your plans are approved, it still has to, just because your plans get approved, it still has to fit within the guidelines of the setbacks that are specified in the covenants. And that's why we had to redo our plans 3 times just to make sure that it fit. And we didn't have any trouble fitting 3 bedrooms and 2 baths on our lot at all, with a 2-car carport in the back. I guess that's about all I have to say. Thank you.
I've received a lot of emails on these, but I'm going to read all the letters that we've received, and then I'll let everyone else speak. In reference to Ms. Kozak's request for a 5-foot variance on 400 John Baptiste Street, I am writing to let you know that I feel as though it is too close to the street and would be an obstruction of view, and so therefore I am not approving this request. Thanks, Jenny Ward, 400 Thomas Shields Boulevard. As residents of Shieldsboro Subdivision 402 Thomas Shields Boulevard, my husband and I would like to disapprove of this variance. The variance would allow the front and rear of this house to look out of place with the rest of the subdivision. The setback regulations of the subdivision should be followed for the overall appearance of the neighborhood. Shirley and Harvey Capel. To whom it may concern, I am a neighbor to 400 John Baptiste Street in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. I am aware that the owner of this lot is requesting a 5-foot variance on the front of their property. I do not think this variance should be granted. My concerns are for the continuity of the neighborhood as well as the overall aesthetic of the street. In addition, I personally am aware of several neighbors who have had their requests turned down for more minor changes to their homes that would impact the overall aesthetic of the neighborhood much less. The property owner in question has also already started construction on this home without the needed approval to take the additional space. Others in the neighborhood have had to adhere to strict guidelines in building their homes under the same conditions as the property owner in question. For these reasons, I do not agree with the additional 5 feet taken from the front of the home. I have no problem with the footage being taken from the back, the 0.2 feet they're requesting. Thank you for your time. Greetings. Caitlin, I've included Mrs. Dosher on this email, but please ensure she has this for the upcoming PNC meeting next week. Ms. Dosher, as a representative of Ward 4, I wanted to inform you of numerous correspondence from neighboring areas within Shieldsboro who have expressed concerns in opposition to the application presented for 400 John Baptiste. As of 22nd of September, I have personally spoken to approximately 6 individuals in the nearby area that have expressed opposition to this variance request with the basis of nonconformity within the area. Other concerns expressed is that this property is on a corner lot and the concern that the variance would inhibit the view of traffic. In speaking with these residents, it is apparent they are opposed to the variance request of 5 feet in the front yard, but it seems the consensus response is the alternative option that would be least invasive in preserving the current setbacks for current homes would be to request the variance for the rear yard. The nature of informing you of this dialogue is that many of the residents wanted to remain anonymous in expressing these concerns. Of course, I encourage letters to be sent without identifying information, but I am certain as the attendance at your upcoming meeting and did not want to inform you that there and did want to inform you that there's a good number of residents in opposition. In closing, I certainly sympathize with the applicant and the inconsistencies and errors made by the BSL Building Department, but we must look at this application objectively and determine if this request is consistent with the existing and surrounding area. Furthermore, we must take into account the feedback by those that would be impacted by this proposal. Feel free to reach out with any further clarification. Kyle Lewis, Ward 4, City Council. Kenny Williams?
I brought the plans to the permit office before I sent them to anybody. I put them on a desk. I said, do y'all have a problem with this? They said, you're in Shieldsboro, right? I said, yes. He said, as long as the subdivision approves it, we approve it. Have y'all ever, probably Chet's been on here longer, since 2008, have given a variance in Shieldsboro subdivision? Any of y'all? These people are saying that they adjusted their plans. As long as this is what was told for me when I built my house, 808 Old Spanish Trail. As long as the subdivision approves the plans, then we approve it. Got approval from the subdivision, sent them to the permit office, and I'm not mistaken, you called me and told me plans were ready, it was approved. I needed to show you where the AC was and where the beam in the garage was. What beam we were using in the garage. Now, where y'all want to go from here, it's all up to y'all.
Miss Patty Guarino?
808 on Spanish Trail. My question is, my problem is that he went down to my husband, Penny, went down to the permit office, got approval, got a permit, and then several days later, they said, oh, we screwed up. Wait a minute. You issued a permit. So my thing is, okay, we've never had to get anybody else to approve anything other than Shieldsboro HOA, not the HOA, the architectural committee to approve it. So if they've always proved it all of these years, approved it for everybody that's in there, this has been going on since 2008, why all of a sudden are they going to pick on Janice KOSAK and make I don't know what the hell's going on really, but, make an example out of her after all these years? And phase 1 is almost finished. She has a 50 by 80 foot lot. What can you build on it? It's a very small lot. It's a corner lot. The 5 foot is a porch, an open porch in front. You can see through it. It's not obstructing anything. And it's created a really hardship on her and a lot of stress. And the city has already said they made a mistake because they issued a permit. She did everything she was supposed to, and now she didn't? I want an explanation. I want some answers. I believe she should be allowed to build this house. They shouldn't issue the permit then and let her get started. They aren't 10 feet. But what I'm also upset about the city is that Tommy, Ricky, and Jeremy all said she could build this house. They approved it. And now y'all saying they put a stop work order on it and saying she can't? And won't give us a reason why.
Well, because it's not conforming with the setbacks.
But they should have told Kenny when he went down there with the plot plan, the house laid out, that she needed to apply for a variance at that time. A
permit was given to her to build. They issued a permit.
Well, we're not, can you come up to the microphone for us? Because there's people listening online and we can hardly hear as it is.
The only thing y'all done, Jenny Ward and Mark Ward tried to subdivide a lot with 2 lots, 1.5 lot. That's the first thing that's ever come before the zoning. Shot down. And also, lady, a second thing, they got a 10-foot variance on the back of their house. It says new, and since Jeff Valley and Henry bought it, they changed the variances. That's bull. So everybody could do whatever they want for the last 8 years, since 2008, and all of a sudden, it's a big deal. I was told over and over, as long as the architectural firm approves it, then we approve it.
What did the architectural committee come back and say when you told them that that had to stop
We
work?
send them a copy of the plans, as long as they stamp
Did they
and
say
approve
it's
it.
not their responsibility to check the setbacks?
No, they don't. As long as they approve it. Like I said, originally, Judge Shanks built that subdivision. All the original houses on John Baptiste, you go over there, take your tape measure, they're 5 foot to 7.5 foot. Same size lots.
How did everyone else know what these setback requirements were? It sounds like we almost knew what these setback requirements were, and we're going to see. I'm just not in the business of submitting permits to see kind of what we can get away with, for this. To me personally, I'll go on record, these setbacks are absolutely ridiculous for Shieldsboro Phase 1, and I hope they're not this way for Phase 2.
Well,
they're way too tight. They're dangerous.
Well,
There's nothing in here about addressing corners. That is extremely dangerous, and I drove it. It is going to block the corner. It is going to be an obstruction of view. And that Grimaud Street, I went there. I drove it. I live here. No, I understand. But, I was not there at the permit office. I do not know what happened in the process. We can only address what is being presented in front of us right now.
Did you ride down John Baptiste the other way to the older houses, and that wasn't blocking your view?
That one's following the required setbacks.
They're not following the required setbacks. The original houses, no, they're not. Original houses that were built on John Baptiste by William Shanks or his contractor. Check the setbacks on them.
Is there anyone else in the audience? Yes,
My name is Johanna Spaguza, and I reside at 602 Thomas Shields Boulevard. We are the third family who moved into Shieldsboro, and we've watched it develop. And I met the owner of this property, and quite aware of what's going on, and I don't see where it's going to create problem. As Kenny was referring to, the original houses that were built, if you catch those on the corner, those are within 10 feet of the street. Am I right, Kenny? So, and we've never had an accident in Shieldsboro in all the years I've been there, 10 years, because of those houses. Now this one's going to sit back further, and all she wants is a variance for 5 feet for her porch, which is going to be open. And I'm here to support her because I feel that one thing that maybe you might want to consider is the financial hardship that this has created for her. She followed all the steps that she was required to follow, and yet here she is battling for, financial steadiness or whatever word you want to use to refer to it. But have some compassion, please, and think about it. If you have to come take a site visit to see what's going on in Shieldsboro, we have somebody, I don't think it ever came up for a variance. They put a swimming pool in the front yard. None of us got a notice that there was going to be a meeting to talk about it. When I found out about this, I thought, well, I'll come and I'm going to show my support, that I think that what she's asking for is very reasonable. I don't feel that it's going to cause any depreciation in value. I don't think it's going to create safety hazard for our children riding bicycles or for anybody driving. We've lived for 12 years with the original houses. At 5 feet, that's an open porch. I don't see where it's a problem. And I offer my support, and I hope that you all will think about it and seriously consider approving it. And I thank you.
Thank you for your comments. There's someone else over here. Can you state your name and address for us again?
Mike Turnion, 501 John Baptiste. Our house is about 2 weeks away from completion. We're still in construction mode over there. And all I wanted to say was, she's talking about the size of her property and the house that she's trying to build on it. She knew the size of that lot when she bought it 2 years ago. And the contractor that was building her home before the stop order was issued has built several homes in that subdivision and all over the city of Bay St. Louis. He should have known that that house was out of compliance when he started, and never should have started with the plumbing and the forms up there. It's not some new fly-by-night contractor. He has built homes all over Bay St. Louis, and at least 6 or 8 other homes in Shieldsboro. Thank you.
So, that home that is being built on the corner, it has bricks on its home. The variance for the bricks.
That's not our jurisdiction. I'm assuming that's something that you're
What I'm pointing out is it's okay for everybody to go against the covenants of the neighborhood. And just to let you know, my property does not obstruct you. I will disagree with you. I have reviewed, and we've also reviewed it with Jeremy and showed that my house is sitting back. So I'm away from the Ramo side. So all of my home, I didn't make it really super wide to where it fits the whole lot. So it actually sits back from the corners of Ramo and John Baptiste and Ramo and Allison. So it does, you can very clearly see when you go to those stop signs, there is no obstruction. And I'm going to restate that those homes, not all of those homes are going to be in conformance because they're already zigzag. You already have 2 and 3 foot variances throughout that neighborhood, and even more. We have another contractor in the neighborhood who is just verbally stating that we've had a change to our covenants and is building their home with 15-foot driveways rather than the 20-foot. So have they come to the city for theirs, for their building their homes? And that was one of the people who opposed mine, the Marks. And they're openly saying, so is that approved just because she stated it? That's incorrect. That was never, our covenants are the same. Jeremy and I reviewed the covenants. It is a 20-foot on the driveways, and they're building with 15 foot and not getting it. This is what I'm saying. It's okay for them, these neighbors, to do their thing, but yet when I'm building mine, it's not okay. And I disagree with that. And I don't see any harm in this 5 foot for the front porch. It does not block anybody. It doesn't. And yes, I did know what I bought. I know what lot I bought. And my contractor is a good contractor, and he built in accordance to what was approved. This was approved. These neighbors are acting like I have never been approved. I'm going to tell these neighbors I have been approved. I have. I did everything that I was supposed to do. I'm asking for your approval for me to proceed. I don't see where this is going to hurt this neighborhood.
Ms. Kozak. Any other comments or questions from the commissioners?
I got a question. Jeremy, what's the city's position right now with
for construction.
So, the situation here, plans were turned in, I think they looked at the board probably back in June. I don't know when the permit was issued, maybe sometime in July, August. It was stopped. Obviously the construction documents were right. It was a error on the building department part of issuing the permit, because with the what was approved by the council in 2008, filed down at the teller's office, it's an interior lot. I can see, I didn't know it's pocket. 4,000 square foot, front yard being set back 10, rear yard 20, and 5 foot on the sides. So once the error was noticed, basically, I think it was framed up. I guess the footers got put in. I don't remember, but they came to my office and said, "Jeremy, look at these site." They went out there, told me to look at the site plan. I said, that's not in accordance with their setbacks, because they have a different set of rules than everybody else. So Ms. McConnell instructed the building department to go and put a stop worker on it until we could go through the various process. It's obviously there was an oversight on the building department to issue the permit, because now I guess we even have more safeguards that anytime a new plan is issued, there is a part that it goes to zoning before it even gets reviewed by the building department, the plans, to make sure the setbacks, the building department, zoning department are in the same buildings, but not the same department per se. In July, we put this, and I guess this was one of the plans that were reviewed in our new program. Our new way of approving plans was not institutionalized, but the position is yes, the setback for the front yard is required to be 10 feet in Shieldsboro for this lot, and the rear yard needs to be 20 feet. That's it was an error on our part to issue the permit. That's why the stop work order. We couldn't allow it to keep on going forward, knowing that we made an error. So. Then, as I know, we've been talking a little about the architectural board on it. So there's rules in our zoning ordinance that they have special set of setbacks for Shieldsboro, and among other things. But some stuff that we at the building department, I say we, but Bay St. Louis, but the building department can issue permits for. If somebody anywhere else in Bay St. Louis besides Shieldsboro asks for a pool permit, as long as it meets our criteria or a fence, we can issue the permit. Shieldsboro is one that, if you ask for a fence permit, we require, even though it meets the Bay St. Louis zoning ordinance, we require them to submit a letter from the architecture board saying it is allowed by them. Because though we would allow it anywhere else in Bay St. Louis, they have to go and have a special set of construction to get approved by the architectural board, and that's in their covenants that was filed that Bay St. Louis helps them enforce.
Well, does this get down to a legal battle? I mean, if she would, retain an attorney, and then the attorney would go trial, I guess it would be, and then there would be damages if she's got any. She spent money because she was allowed to, even though it ended up being wrong. So, where does that put this board in making any kind of judgment?
I'm the zoning administrator, not a city attorney, so.
Well, that's what she's running
We're a
into.
recommending body. Yes. But trying to prevent this stuff from happening in the future, how does the city, when they're issuing a permit, know that the architectural board of Shieldsboro has reviewed? Does it come stamped? Like how we go through historic in some areas before it gets to the permit? How do they know? What's the safeguard?
I do not issue building permits, but I help out when I can of making, taking in, cleaning up and out, because we're a small town. But whenever they come I make sure that they have it, or anytime they have a letter or an email from whoever the community manager is, saying, so for this one, there is correspondence between Mr. Jeff Valley and the building department. I think Tommy McConnell has it that says these plans are approved, because, and from understanding, it's think this was probably the part that might have been lost in translation throughout the years. I think maybe historically they thought that once it's approved by architectural board, it should inherently be approved by us. But let's say that's not necessarily the case. There've only been, I know, as zoning administrator for being over a year, this is the second time that somebody from Shillsborough had it came through planning and zoning. I looked it up. I think 2010, not 19, 2010. They had somebody on Rainbow Street that they're required to have, I think, 20-foot rear yard, and they built they asked for a 3-foot variance or somewhere around there, and it was granted. But I think about 2 or 3 years ago, another property owner had to come through here for a variance. But from the quick search I just did to see what the history of it, that was the only time there. It's rare that somebody comes through Hillsborough because setbacks are small. But even so much so where we had to go look at it this week. There's another house that's being built in the corner, and some of the stuff that they said Louis allowed, being when they accepted it, it was never taken into consideration of the corner. So if you build a house in Bay St. Louis, 8 foot your side yard setback, well, if you're on a corner, it's going to be 12. Well, some of the stuff in here, it's still allowed to be 5 foot regardless, which I think foresight wise we realize that's not good, but that's the rules that we all have to follow. Yeah, I believe the building department did have that from their own architecture or from their community manager.
It seems to me like the question here for this board is very narrow, which is a 5-foot setback is ideal. To me, it's really bad idea. Everything that happened, this lady I feel very sorry for, but I think her appeal is not to this board. So I think we should be focused here more.
There's no other questions or comments. I'll entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Agee to deny. Is there a second?
Could you speak that denial up? What are you saying? My motion is to deny the application. I have no idea.
Is there a second?
I move that we approve it.
You have to read the- That's second. Okay. Motion by Mr. Romano to approve, second by Mr. Osborne. All those in favor? Nay.
I'm still confused.
Yeah. It's a get out of jail free card. Take it. Where the motion is to approve the variance, the 5-foot variance.
Which would. All right, I'll go along with that. Yay.
Okay, so motion passes 5-2. Variance is approved, but please be present at the next city council meeting, which will be Tuesday, October 4th at 5:30 p.m. in this room. They'll have the final say. All right.
Just wanted to take a moment to thank you. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. God bless you all.
Need more sugar.
No, I'm already tapped on mine.
All right, let's get back on track here. Next application is Bell Application for special exception and variance to the zoning ordinance submitted by Brem Bell. The applicant is wanting to convert the existing accessory structure where it sits into an accessory dwelling. The applicant will need a special exception to allow an accessory dwelling, a variance of 6,204 square feet to the minimum 15,000 square foot lot size for an accessory dwelling, and a variance of 8 feet, resulting in a 0-foot setback to the side yard. The property is located at 352 Demottlesden Avenue, parcel 149E-0-29-211.000, west 1/2 29 all 30, block 5, Perkins subdivision, parcel 149E-0-29-212.000, 468C, block 5, Perkins subdivision, 1st Ward, Bay St. Louis. The property is zoned R2 two-family district. State your name and address for us and tell us a little bit about the application.
Hello, my name is Brem Bell, and I live at 338 Estabrook in Bay St. Louis. This is a house that my wife and I purchased from a friend, I can't remember, within the last year. We went through the process when we purchased it to do the research to find out it's located on 2 separate lots. That are actually 2 separate subdivisions that are buildable lots, and because they've already been designated, we could have built on those if we chose to. So we went in front of the Historical Commission and asked for permission to do that because it is one house into the Historical Commission. I did not think at the time that it had historical significance. After going through the Historical Commission, they made a plea to me to say that if you tear it down and build new cottages, which was our plan, that it would actually limit the, change some of the culture of Demottlesden. They said, while it may not be of some significance to me historically, mid-century modern is kind of the houses that are there. After discussing it with them, I also asked them, I said at the time, from the historical perspective, if we kept the house as you had requested us to, and we would take the only way we could do that economically and what we think would be the best use of the property would be to take the existing structure that's in the back that was a art studio with water to it and electricity and part of it and carport and the rest to change it into an accessory dwelling unit. And they said they would have no problem with that, and it was a split decision among the historical as to what to do, and a vote was requested so that I could move forward one way or the other, and they voted down to allow us to tear it down and put in cottages. So I went and hired architects to go through and say, well, what can we do to revise this house? And so we're going to keep the current house in its current plan and we wanted to make an accessory dwelling unit in the back on its current footprint. The footprint's been there for many years, since either 1956 or 65, depending on who says what, and 65 is what it's listed in the tax assessor's office. So we just wanted to make that and enclose the carport and make it a roughly 950 to 1,000 square foot accessory dwelling unit on an existing concrete structure that's already there. It already has framed walls of about 2/3 of it, and that's what we're asking to do.
I've gotten some letters to read in. Objection to Bell, application for special exception and variance to zoning ordinance for the property located at 352 Demottlesden Avenue. The individuals listed below are the owners of the property known as 404 Demottlesden Avenue, and each hereby objects to the above captioned application. In its public hearing notice for this application, the Bay St. Louis Planning and Zoning Commission states in relevant part, the applicant is wanting to convert the existing accessory structure where it sits into an accessory dwelling. The applicant will need a special exception to allow an accessory dwelling, variance of 6,204 square feet to the minimum 15,000 square foot lot size for an accessory dwelling, and a variance of 8 feet resulting in a 0-foot setback to the side yard. The property is located at 352 Demottlesden Avenue. We wish to be clear, the application requests a 58.6% reduction in the minimum lot size for an accessory dwelling, i.e. reducing from 15,000 square feet down to 6,204 square feet. That an existing carport storage shed, which sits 0 feet from the fence separating 352 Demottlesden Avenue from the house behind it, can be converted into and occupied as a house. Even if the existing storage shed is grandfathered so it can continue to sit 0 feet from the fence separating it from the house behind 352 Demottlesden Avenue, how can a new house be constructed directly adjacent to said fence without adversely impacting the character, density, and well-being of the existing homes and residents in the area? Moreover, Moreover, the granting of said application runs afoul of multiple sections of the zoning ordinance, including without limitation, A, section 1002.6, requiring a lot size of 15,000 square feet or more for an accessory dwelling unit, B, section 802.A, which requires 2 parking spaces per dwelling unit, and because there would be 2 dwelling units at 352 Demolition Avenue, a total of 4 parking spaces would be required, but the submitted drawing does not delineate any parking spaces per se. See section 605.3, which requires in relevant part that special exceptions for R2 residential 2-family districts and 352 Demolition lies in such an R2 district shall comply with the height and area regulations and with the parking regulations for similar uses set out elsewhere in this ordinance. Emphasis added in the special exception needed for this application would not so comply because the lot size is less than the 15,000 square feet required under section 1002.6, and there are not 4 parking spaces as required under section 802.A. B, the special exception needed for this application would also run afoul of the findings required to determine the special exception will not adversely affect the public interest as established under section 1305.2B, and E, the drawing submitted lacks the details included without limitation, details needed to make square footage computations to determine compliance with all provisions of section 1002.6 regarding accessory dwellings. The owners believe that the granting of the application would constitute the de facto establishment of new zoning, which can only be rightfully accomplished through a proper amendment of the zoning ordinance. The owners of 404 Demolition Avenue object to this application for a variance for the property located at 352 Demolition Avenue because 1404 Demolition Avenue is within a 3,000-foot radius of 352 Demolition Avenue. 352 Demolition is on the east side of Nikkei's Avenue, and 404 Demolition Avenue is on the west side of Nikkei's Avenue. 352 Demolition is directly across the street, i.e. Nikkei's Avenue, from and faces 404 Demolition Avenue. 4, the accessory dwelling, which is the subject of the application, will be directly across the street from and facing 404 Demolition Avenue. 5, the granting of the application will adversely affect the value of 404 Demolition Avenue, thereby harming the owners. 6, the granting of the application will adversely affect the long-standing character, density, and well-being of the relevant neighborhood, thereby harming all landowners and residents in that area. 7, the granting of a variance to allow an accessory dwelling, i.e. a carport storage shed, a variance of 6,204 square feet to the minimum 15,000 square foot lot size, i.e. a reduction of 58.6% for an accessory dwelling, i.e. permitting said carport storage shed to be converted into and occupied as a house, and a variance of 8 feet resulting in a 0-foot setback to the side yard, i.e. 0 feet from the backyard fence separating 352 Demolition from the house behind it. It is not finding a middle ground for zoning issues, but instead represents the de facto establishment of new zoning without a proper amendment of the zoning ordinance. Therefore, the owners of 404 Demolition Avenue, being Cornell A. Ladner, D.C. Ladner, Kathy D. Ladner, and Stanford D. Ladner, object to the above captioned application and urge the Commission to reject said application. Kathy D. Ladner, 407 Demolition Avenue. I am Kathleen Monty, and my husband Joe and I live at 105 Sycamore Street in Bay St. Louis. In August 2020, I appeared before the P&Z Committee and voiced our objection to an application requesting a special exception to build accessory dwelling on a neighbor's 12,600 square foot parcel. Regardless of who the applicant may be or how many different times these requests for accessory dwellings are made, our objections remain the same if those parcels are less than 15,000 square feet. Accessory dwellings are not allowed by right, even if a parcel is 15,000 square feet or more in size. If you grant the special exception, then you are granting a special privilege, and that is not allowed by our zoning ordinance. Not only would it circumvent the intent of the zoning ordinance, but it would also create unnecessary congestion with the increased number of persons and vehicles being jammed into the undersized lots. In 2020, the parcel in question was 12,600 square feet. The two Bell parcels together only total 8,796 square feet. The line is drawn at 15,000 square feet, not 8,796 or 12,600 square feet. The Bell request to build an accessory dwelling for whatever use should be denied because it does not have sufficient size to satisfy the space requirements of said use. Reference 1305.2 Special Exceptions 5. I sincerely hope that the P&Z Commissioners and City Council will deny this application and any other further applications that try to add accessory dwellings on parcels of less than 15,000 square feet. I firmly believe that the future quality of our life in our city depends on strict adherence to this requirement. Sincerely, Kathleen Monty and Joe Monty, 1056.
Joe are here, and so is Ms. Ladner, too. And I appreciate you being able to read that and of course, make any comments. I understand their concern about the 15,000 square foot. I mean, there's no doubt we're asking for a variance with that. This is an existing structure. You have to look back, first of all, when this was built in 1956 or 65, whatever they stated it was. This had been built, this carport, with the back being used as some type of art studio with plumbing already done to it, water, that is, not sewer at the time. And I like some of the arguments, I guess I say like, I should be careful. Some of the arguments about the fact that it's going to be worse for the community. If you look at what it is now, it's a vinyl-sided shed that has most of the vinyl broken and ruined. We're going to put hardy plank on it. With regards, so it's going to bring that value up, and aesthetically, it's going to be a vast improvement. With regards to the parking, we have alternative parking. We do not have it shown on the design, but it can be parking can be allowed on the Demotlazen side. And let's not forget, those are two separate lots already. So you can put parking on each lot without any further need from the city approval to have that done, because it's allowed by law. There's two separate lots that are there. So another thing is I lived at 401 Main Street, which also had a dwelling in the back, which was also a shop when I bought it, and we converted it into a accessory dwelling. And it too was grandfathered in because it currently existed on a zero lot line. And it was zero lot as it was. This is currently zero lot line as it is. That's not going to change if we, being that close to another building, is already in existence there. The plat is already there. The slab is already there. The building is already present. So I believe that this is in conformity with what's taking place downtown. And don't forget, I think that it matters, the fact that I went in front of this historical and asked for the opportunity to tear down this building to build new structures there on two lots that could be built and have parking on both of them already. So I think I'm coming for the city at the city's direction to say you're not allowed to tear it down. So now I'm going forward to see if we can remodel it, make it a better looking facility, make the rear structure a better facility, a better use of the property too. And there are numerous properties downtown with these mother-in-law quarters in the back. I'll answer any questions anyone may have. Sure. I mean, it's going to be wrapped in vinyl. I mean, it's going to be wrapped in hardy plank. We're redoing landscaping. It's going to have hardy plank on both buildings, structures. Yes, and I'd ask about that because if I'm changing directions of where we're going, I wanted to get pre-approval, so to speak, ask them what their position would be, because I would have to take a different stand if they said we couldn't do these things. Then economically, it doesn't make sense for anybody to purchase this property to do anything with it. Any other questions? And I know the Montes and Miss Ladner are here too.
I have Miss Kathy Ladner signed up first, 407 Demolison.
I think our letter speaks for it, that we would be adversely affected. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss Kathleen and Joe Monte, 105 Sycamore.
I want to be clear that our objections are not personal. Our objections are across the board. And I sit here sometimes and see these things happening in our city, and I wonder, when is this ever going to stop? My interpretation, and I'm not a lawyer, he is, Stan Ladner is a lawyer, you have Heather, I'm not a lawyer, but my interpretation when I read what's in the ordinance is that for an accessory dwelling, you have to have a lot with a minimum of 15,000 square feet, period. We have our house on a lot that's over 30,000 square feet. If I wanted an accessory dwelling, I still have to come before, even though I would meet all the regulations right now, according to the zoning ordinance for accessory dwellings, I still have to come before P&Z and City Council and get approval for an accessory dwelling, even though my property is over 15,000 square feet. I look around the city and I see where lots of records that are smaller than, you know, what a 12,000 square foot R1 might be, are being subdivided, and dinky little things are being built on. Nice though, but you know, we are overbuilding. This is the one area that I know of that I think that it is clear and across the board that the line in the sand is 15,000 square feet. And if you don't meet that, then you don't qualify. And I hope that I'm right, and I hope that for the future of the quality of life in Bay St. Louis, that we are not continue to be have all this overbuilding and these sheds turned into living quarters so that then they can be vacation rentals or for mother-in-laws or for whatever wonderful reasons people want to do it. But the rest of us are going to suffer. The ones of us that live here and have lived here for 40 some odd years, I have. And I ask you to uphold the intention of this ordinance and to deny the application. Thank you.
Ms. Monk. Ms. Yolanda Bradley.
I'm here to speak the same way. Yolanda Bradley. I live at 200 Seminary Drive, but I'm posted 415 St. George Street. And I agree too. I uphold the 15,000 ordinance, whatever. I agree with what the lady just said. There's so much overbuilding, and the place, that's a very busy knee case and DeMartis in there. That's a very busy intersection. And what they're doing now is, like I say, I do believe it's a lot of overbuilding, a lot of B&Bs, everything being placed and whatever. And I just would like to maybe leave that part of the landscape the same as it is, and agree. And I just object to that, the zero feet on the one side and that additional whatever. It's just packing it in too close, and that's all it's been doing lately. And that part, this part of the city, it's like a entrance into, you know, to Main Street or the other places. So leave it as is, and that's why I do object to that.
Thank you, Ms. Bradley. Is there anyone else in the audience that'd like to speak for or against? Mr. Bradley.
Cliff Rabley, I'm the chairperson of the Bay St. Louis Historical Commission, and you guys remember what Catch-22 is? That's what we had done to Mr. Bell. Demo in the historic district is a four-letter word. We are preservation. We do not, and we had recently another one, but we use the same verbiage. What Mr. Bell said is absolutely true. That house does not appear historical. It's got vinyl siding, and what he was wanting to build would have had party board, and it would have looked probably more historically appropriate than what's there. However, we are, by our guidelines, which we try our darndest to stick to the guidelines, that unless there is an overriding reason, you don't demo it. And what was the verbiage you used then? Mid-century. I have two of my commissioners on the historic commission very familiar with, and what they brought out, and I have to agree with them, there is a architectural style that was in the 1950s and the 1960s, and this house fits that. It doesn't look like a 1920s or 1930s historic house, but it's a 1960s historic house, and that area of town has a lot of them. So we did, in the Catch-22 that we put him in, tell him no, you cannot demo that house just to build something new. And you cannot demo that little shed just because you want to. We did tell him, if you demo the shed, you'll never get a zero setback again, which is the same reason we turned one down here 2 weeks ago. So, from the Historic Commission standpoint, he is trying to comply with us. From a planning and zoning, he has an existing structure. If I don't know how many of you have looked at the parcels, he's between a rock and a hard place there, because he's got half of a lot from another subdivision and a regular old small lot from a different subdivision. And I can tell you, if in Hancock County, you will not join those two into one lot because they're in different subdivisions. So he's stuck. He's got a little bitty carport art studio that's partially got utilities in it on a lot that you would never be allowed to build on in today's world, but it's there. And he's got a house that we're not going to let him tear down, but it's there. And I think what he's trying to do is do something to improve what's there. And like I say, we were in a catch-22, and I feel that you folks are going to be in the same situation. You know, darn if you do, darn if you don't. He has existing structures. If he tears down that little carport, he's not going to get a zero-line setback again. He can improve it a little bit. One of the requirements for a variance, I used to look at this a lot more, I don't look at it much anymore, but the odd shape of a lot. That one fits, that criteria fits what Mr. Bell is asking for. I agree with Kathleen, I dislike accessory dwellings. But Mr. Bell has an existing structure that he's wanting to do something with it. I did want to say that from the historic standpoint, he is absolutely correct. We told him no. He chose not to go to city council and ask her to get that overruled. I can't state an opinion one way or the other on that as a historic commission, because we've told him no to demo. Thank you, gentlemen, ladies.
Just in closing, I graduated from Bay High in 1980 and grew up here too, and I've known the Monty family, the Bradley family, and the Ladner family too for many years. I mean, I will never take any harm from them or think any ill. I think they're standing up for what they believe is right, and I think I'm doing what I think is right. So please don't ever think that I have any hard feelings about any of this. I do believe the difference is that why are the zoning laws in place? They're in place so that we can have improvements in the community. That's it. And to, as you've seen tonight several times, protect neighboring landowners. This building was built before the zoning laws were in place. So this zero lot line art studio in the back was already there. What's the difference is when other people ask for accessory dwelling units, they don't have 1,000 square foot slab that already has partial utilities on it that's in an odd shaped lot on two different lots. You have plenty of reasons to say this is a perfect example of an exception to the rule, and that's what I'm asking y'all to do, to approve. I'll answer any questions if you have them.
No other questions or comments. I'll entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Breland to accept, second by Mr. Agee. All those in favor? Nay.
Aye. Aye.
Nay. 4 to 3. That's supposed to say. Okay. Application passes. Please be present at the next City Council meeting Tuesday, October 4th at 5:30 p.m. Thank you. And nay was LeBlanc, me, and Mr. Osborne. Thank you, everyone, for your patience in getting through all the applications tonight. Sometimes it just falls where some meetings are longer than others, so I appreciate you waiting. Our next application is Performance Leasing Co. Application for a special exception submitted by Performance Leasing Company. The applicants are asking you to conduct a servicing of heavy trucks business. The property is located at 10750 Highway 603, parcel 139A-0-29-184.000, 20 through 21, Block 2, Unit 13, Shoreline Park. The property is zoned C3 Highway Commercial District.
Hello, my name's Kenny Uten. Our business address here currently is 10139 Highway 603. Currently have a store on the Waveland side that we're looking at this property to switch over to and construct. But for that, we just need the heavy driver, heavy vehicle maintenance.
It was my understanding this building fits the requirements because it's a 14-foot required door. Is that right? A door.
Of course, we will be painting the building and doing some of that. We won't. Not currently, no.
I do like the idea of, repurposing what's already there instead of building something new as well.
It's something we're wanting to obviously do before the year ends, so this fits everything we're looking for.
Were there any comments or questions? Yes, Mr. Reed.
You said the building will not be changed dramatically, which I appreciate that, but looking at the Tallahassee facility, the awnings and the rug and all that, this building will look a lot better because it is.
Oh, we'll definitely be looking at the outside, painting it for sure, and upgrading the parking lot stuff on. Yeah, we've got a standard. I mean, obviously Peterbilt's one of the best trucks out there. We've got a standard that currently we're not fitting in this building. We'd love to step into it.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against the application? I'll entertain a motion if there's no other comments or questions. Motion by Mr. Osborne to approve. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Romano. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Please be present next Tuesday, October 4th, 5:30 p.m. in this room.
This week got one. No, I've got one.
Yeah.
Thank you all for your time.
I didn't think about that.
Here you go. Yeah, this way if you want that. You can have this one too. Thank you.
And 609 Central has been withdrawn, so we're going to move on to the wedding collection. A public hearing for major site plan review for a venue and parking lot submitted by the wedding collection. The property is located at 1016 Blue Meadow Road and is identified on the Hancock County land tax rolls as parcel 137B-1-42-021.000, Part JB, Lardassi, claim number 286, section 42-8-14, Part 286. The property is zoned S1 Special Use District.
Did everybody get the packets that we submitted? I also brought the big rolls over here also. So the city council submitted or approved special use district for this parcel 2 months ago, I believe. And some of the uses that fit with the uses allowed, venue, a few things. But the part that she is using of the special use district she's allowed is the venue part.
Okay.
So this is the site plan that was submitted to us. Because of the uniqueness of the project, trying to figure out parking of what we're trying to do. So the zoning does not specifically address this, touch on it. So where it says venue, it is going to be a concrete pad with footers in it. The business model, because of the tough flood elevation there, it's going to have to be some kind of unique construction. So essentially, the thought is City of Bay St. Louis rents out the harbor deck for weddings. It's going to be the same concept of the harbor deck of concrete pad. It's probably the tent's going to be brought in whenever there's something happening. Because of also the flood elevation, obviously power is going to have to be raised, which is not, you are going to have to be concerned, but they have plumbing that's going to go in there because they're going to do quick disconnect restrooms where they're going to be coming in and out per event, not permanently constructed there. The parking lot, they have, I think, 2 ADA accessible ones. That is going to be concrete. It's that's not negotiable with the building department. ADA says that hard surfaces can be limestone. We don't allow that. Every parking spot that's ADA is concrete ones, and then the driveways. Fire chief, they said the fire protection should be. I mean, it'll be fine. They'll be able to have access to it. The drainage, this is a large site. Everything's going to be drained to the front. But one of the things that on the site plan, every single protective tree on there is being preserved. They have a dozen oak trees. None of those are getting touched through this whole process. There's enough landscaping. The parking lot, because it is going to be some kind of aggregate. It's not going to be a paved parking lot, but I don't think that anybody necessarily would want that there, but it's going to be a hard compact surface, just not tightly asphalt. And even with the parking lot, they have the required green spaces we required every 15 spots. I think they have even more than that. So every building official, zoning, public works, and fire checked off on this.
I'll entertain a motion.
So what y'all are approving, this is the final plot plan. So you got the special use district, you have to go, and then they have within, I think, a year or 2 years to start construction, but from our understanding, it's going to be full almost immediately.
Would like to make a motion?
Can you tell me how wide? I prefer when somebody who's handling this comes to speak rather than you, Jamie. But since you are speaking, I don't understand. I can't determine the width of the road for emergency vehicle purposes.
Well, Monty's reviewed this.
reviewed
It says
it?
12 feet wide for the entrance drive, and then 25 feet between parking stalls.
Yeah, whatever Monty was, I do not go in, for zoning wise, I do not go, whatever the site plan is, anything with fire protection goes straight to the ones that are responsible for it. So whatever was there, I know one thing that we had to go put on the site plan is there's a fire hydrant immediately across the street. But this is a unique one because there's not necessarily a permanent structure there to protect.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion. Motion to accept by Mr. Breland. Is there a second? Second by Mr. LeBlanc. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Last application is another site plan review. It's Old Town LLC, a public hearing for site plan review for a multifamily housing development submitted by Old Town LLC. The property is located at 315 Main Street and is identified on the Hancock County Land Tax Rolls as parcel 149F-0-29-325.000, lot 541, 1 Street, First Street, Ward A, St. Louis. The property is zoned R3 multifamily district. And now this has been, Ed Wyckoff wrote me and said, just so we know, it's been approved by historic and everything happened to the building. Yes, come up to speak. It's an open forum for these things, so. Yes. I had some people signed up to speak. Gibson Carter. Yes. Annette Carter.
319 Main Street, the adjacent property. I just wanted to get some clarification on the drainage on the plans. From what I understand, all the water's to run to the back of the property to a detention swale, and and then somehow rerouted to the front of the property?
I'll let you.
Annette, have you seen this, the drainage plan? Okay. Make sure you have a copy of that.
Gibson Carter. So I'm here on behalf of Mark Carter, Lloyd, overseas right now. Yes, I live in Louisiana, so I'm here on behalf of him. I guess I need to ask permission to speak.
Oh, go ahead.
So,
ask your question.
Mark and Annette's main concern is the drainage. I guess talking with
So came in last week to go get a set of plans that y'all have, and I guess go look. I want to say whenever he came in last time, we had all the site plans because, as I said last time, we have 4 signatures that are needed initially to make sure everything's followed: zoning, building, fire protection, and public works. He came in to get the plans, and I guess one of the things we discussed out here was his concern with the retention pond and the aggregate and the slope of the drainage going to the street. I explained to Mr. Carter, I'm like, that I worry about the zoning, which it fits to what we allow, building, fire, and public works director is the one responsible for signing off. He looks at the plans, and the first rendering that was done, he had one comment about it that he needed clarification. The engineer fixed whatever the detail that was needed, and then Mr. Ronnie Vanny wouldn't sign off on it. So the concerns with the drainage, according to the person that A. St. Louis tasked with worrying about the utilities and drainage, he is fine with it. I think one of the things that might need to be done, probably maybe city council, I think we might want to, city councilman even asked is for our next, or they approved at their meeting, is see if we can send it through our city engineer, which public works director is fine, but they want to make sure city engineer agrees with the engineering work that was done from another one to make it more secure. Because I mean, I don't know. I know I'm not able to speak on the drainage, and I don't know if any of y'all would probably be, above my pay grade.
So I guess the first question was, in the agenda packet, there was 2 drawings.
Yes.
There's 6 drawings out there. I just want to make sure those were included in the packet, or they would be included? Or?
Yes, we have this one, and then we have the one that just pertains to, with the general site plan, and then we have the one that just pertains to the paving and.
Yeah, I know you're not approving the engineering per se, correct?
Correct. We're just doing a review, make sure.
Right, so I guess we just want to recommend it to, if possible, to run back through the public works, or disagree with some of the drainage. Before the city council approve it.
Can someone help me? How would that work for on our side? Because, yes.
Well,
So, I mean, there's elevations on here, so you're approving elevations, is that correct?
It's part of their package, but let's I mean, I'll just say, let's be honest, like, they're the ones that the board went through whenever they had to have a variance of the parking and the buffer. That's what they are. But I just think it would probably be not fair for them to go say, hey, I want to make sure the fire protection's right. We might disagree with it. I think probably our lane is the zoning part of it, not necessarily the fire, the building.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I understand. I mean, there is elevations on here, so if it gets approved, it's approved.
Oh. Okay. No.
She's required to sleep now.
No. You don't, I won't make you. I just appreciate when people come out to see what's going on in the neighborhood, so. You just come innocent. Okay, I'll entertain a motion if there's no other questions. Motion by Mr. A.G. to approve. Is there a second? Second by Mr. LeBlanc. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-1. Please be present at the next City Council meeting next Tuesday, October 4th, and here at 5:30 p.m. The next agenda item is to approve the minutes. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Mr. A.D., second by Mr. Breland. All those in favor? Aye. Last item is a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. LeBlanc, second by Mr. Romano. All those in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned.